broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
I'm Adam Bergstrom from SunSync Nutrition, here with Justin and Kate of Extreme Health Radio, and we're juicing up the world and spreading love and synchronicity throughout the known and unknown universe.
Technology, Kate. Technology. You love it and you hate it, right?
I tell you, it keeps going for me. I just got locked out of our website, and now my chat room is down. So I'll work on that while you introduce the show.
Our own website locked you out?
Yeah, what a morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it erased the chat room from me.
Did it really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll have to help you out get back on that.
It's all good.
Wow. I mean, without technology, you couldn't do a show like this.
Right.
You couldn't have a studio in your home, and you couldn't broadcast worldwide, but it does pose its challenges, doesn't it?
Challenge is a good way to put it this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
It's all good.
So I want to thank all you guys for joining us live. We really appreciate it, and we're sorry we're a few minutes late. We had some technical problems starting out the show, so we really apologize for that. But we are live. We are here. We are doing the show today, so we're real excited. We have Bob Capelli on, and we're going to be talking about astaxanthin, antioxidants, spirulina, and these types of things today. It's going to be a lot of good stuff on today's show. We're really excited about having him on. We'll introduce him in just a moment. And this is episode 275. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/275, you'll be able to catch all the show notes and links that we talk about on the show there. And for reference, today is Thursday, July 3rd, 2014.
Wow.
Look at that.
Holiday weekend.
1 day away from July 4th.
Love it.
I did the math. And so if you guys would like to support our show, there's lots of different ways to do that, but a lot of people go through Amazon, and we have a link on our website. But if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, you'll be able to support our show, and that'll help keep the show free for everybody else, and it's really a great way to do that. So we really appreciate all of you guys that are doing that for us. It's really great. I'm just so excited about today's show, Kate. I can't wait to get started.
I know. I love me some astaxanthin.
I know, right?
I do. I love that stuff.
We have Bob Capelli on. He's from Nutrex Hawaii, Nutrex-Hawaii.com. And he's actually joined us early today because I think it's only about 6 in the morning there. So I want to thank you so much, Bob, for being on the show today.
Oh, not a problem at all. It's my pleasure.
Awesome.
Oh, my goodness. Now, are you guys 3 hours behind us in the Pacific time zone?
So you're in where? In California?
California, yeah.
Yeah, so depends on the time of year. Right now, yes, we're 3 hours behind you, and then we don't do daylight savings time. So when daylight savings time, I guess, ends, that means that we're only 2 hours behind you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for getting up early and doing the show with us.
Oh, we get up pretty early in Hawaii usually. We don't want. It's so beautiful here in the mornings. We don't want to miss the early mornings. So I'm always up 5:30 or 6 anyway.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well that makes me feel a little bit better.
And you're coming from the island of Kona, you said.
Yeah, well, we're it's called the Big Island.
The Big Island.
Yeah, we're it's just called Hawaii, and it's the largest in size of all the islands. However, the population is very, very low, and especially the population per square mile is like incredibly low. And so we're about a half-hour plane ride from Honolulu, and where we are is very important, which we'll get into, I'm sure, later in the show. But where we are is absolutely the very best place in the world to grow microalgae. And so that's why our founder chose this place to grow microalgae about 30 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, and whereabouts in relation to Hilo are you?
So Hilo is on the other side of the island. It's really about over 2 hour drive from here. We're almost exactly opposite Hilo on the west side, and that's another important thing. Hilo is a beautiful place as well, very lush and green, and it's get a lot of rain in Gila. They get, I think, about 100 inches of rain a year. And so where we are on the Kona side is the opposite. It's not quite as lush and green, but again, one of the many reasons why it's such a great place to grow algae is that we only get about 12 inches of rain a year here. So it's like really important not to have too much rain and to have lots of sun in order to make the algae grow well.
Well, this might be a silly question, but is that also obviously where Kona coffee comes from? Is that also really good conditions for growing coffee on the island?
Well, that's very interesting you ask that. I actually live right in the heart of Kona coffee country, even though I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't really like coffee, which is a shame because all my neighbors grow it. But we have in Hawaii what are known as microclimates, and there are 13 different types of microclimates in the world, and we have 11 of the 13 right here in the island of Hawaii. And so I live only about a 20, 25-minute drive from our farm, but I live up the side of the volcano. So we're at about a 1,500-foot elevation where my home is. And we get, even though where our farm is only gets 10, 12 inches of rain a year, even though it's so close, we get about probably 40 or 50 inches of rain a year. So where we live, it's a perfect climate to grow coffee, actually. That's true.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I'm not a big coffee drinker either, but I can't get over it. I don't think there's any better smell than coffee.
Yeah. It does smell great.
Maybe algae.
Hey, Bob, does the fact that there are volcanoes on the island have any effect on the spirulina and the growth and why you guys chose that location, or does that have more to do with growing foods in the soils and things?
Well, that's interesting you ask that as well. I'm not sure if you had ever read anything about that, but when spirulina is the oldest life form in the world, it's been around for over 3 billion years, scientists estimate. And when spirulina was originally developing so many billion years ago, the conditions in the world were very different, and there was a much more volcanic activity. And it's funny that you asked that because I've done hundreds of radio interviews, and I think you're the first person to ever ask that, but you must be very intuitive. The conditions here on this island where we have an active volcano, and it puts off a little bit of what we call VOG, which is short for volcanic fog, and this is something that actually the algae thrives on, and it helps the algae to grow better and to grow faster and healthier. So it's a pretty amazing place where we're doing this. That we have all these different things that are just ideal for growing algae. Including the weather, including this volcanic particles in the air, including the fact that we're so far from like real big population center where if you grow algae near any population center, you're going to have some kind of contamination. You're going to have air pollution that's the algae absorbs any kind of impurities in the air. You're going to have like runoff from either farming operations or so again, where we are, it's grown. Our algae is grown in what's called a biosecure zone, and in this biosecure zone, it's illegal to bring in anything unnatural, any sort of pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified organisms. So, again, all these like little factors adding up to the very best place in the world to grow algae. And the founder of our company, who's still our chief scientific officer, he spent 2 years actually looking all over the world on where to put this farm. And he decided Kona, Hawaii was the number one place. So really not just something he said, it sounds good, grow algae in Hawaii. Yeah. He really studied this intensely.
Wow. I wonder if there's anything going on with the sulfur, like you mentioned, the VOG of coming from the volcanoes. I wonder if there's any, connection with the sulfurs in the air that gets somehow connected to the algae and things like that.
Well, that's exactly what it is. You hit the nail on the head. The sulfur component coming out of the volcanic emissions is what the algae likes. and thrives on. And it might not be the best thing for humans. In fact, too much VOG is probably not a good thing. And the really intense amount of VOG is also it's about a 2.5-hour drive down on the very southeast side of the island, which is a little south of Hilo that we talked about earlier. And we get just a little bit here, but so it's not like really bad for humans, but it's great for algae.
What do you think has been affected by the whole Fukushima thing? Has that affected you guys at all, being a little bit closer to the actual zone there?
That's a question. Your first question about the volcanic activity, how that helps the algae, no one's asked me that before. This next question, a lot of people ask us consistently. I mean, we get probably, I have to say, 2 or 3 calls a day and emails. And people are all concerned about that, and rightly so. So what we started doing was right after Fukushima, and to this day, we consistently, it's monthly, we test both our algae ponds where the algae is growing, plus our finished products. In other words, the consumer products that we sell, we test that for any sort of radioactivity or radioactive isotopes. And to this day, we found none, either in the ponds or in the products. So we're very sure of that. And the reason really is, if you look... There are certain maps that you can see that show either ocean currents or wind patterns. And Hawaii is about, I think it's roughly, it's over 1,000 miles south of Japan. And these wind currents and ocean currents in general are going way to the north of us. And I think you're going to find a lot more issues from Fukushima up in, say, the Pacific Northwest and going up into Canada than you'll find, say, in anywhere south of there. So, fortunately, to this date, we still have no kind of issue with Fukushima.
Isn't that great?
That's encouraging, actually.
It's a good thing, and it's also a good thing for us, because one day we'd like to live in Hawaii. So I like to hear that.
Good.
Wow.
You'll make it over there?
Yeah, I've heard about those ocean currents. I've seen them, too, on maps. It looks like they kind of do this big curve, and they go under Alaska, and then almost like they come down the whole coast of California and the West Coast.
Yeah, it's just amazing how this is. I mean, we didn't set this up, listeners. I mean, but these questions are just leading to all these different things about what we're doing here at our algae farm. But the ocean currents are another important factor in growing our mostly our spirulina. There is this huge current of ocean movement of water that actually starts at the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole, and slowly comes into the sort of the equatorial regions. And with that pattern of water flow, the estimate is that it's been thousands of years since the water that's currently underneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean was exposed to air. So in fact, this is probably, I'd say, one of the top factors why our founder chose this place to grow algae is we have these pipelines that the state of Hawaii put in that go 2,000 to 3,000 feet below the surface of the Pacific Ocean and bring up this deep ocean water, very mineral rich. There's tons of minerals in this. Wow. And it's got all the different trace minerals and elements. It's got 94 minerals and elements in it. And we add a little bit of that, about 5% of that, to our spirulina ponds. And what we found is, we add it for a few reasons. We found that also helps the algae to grow better and to get more nutritious, and also adds all these trace minerals and elements to the algae. And this water, again, the scientists estimate, hasn't been to the surface for over 2,000 years. Wow. And so it's the purest. I mean, imagine, that's before any sort of man-made activities that are, hurting the environment, hurting the ozone layer, global warming. I mean, this is the purest water you can find in the world, and found in our Hawaiian spirulina. Now, we don't add it to our astaxanthin ponds because we found it doesn't help with growth. In fact, it hurts the growth a little bit. But we do use that same water, which is very cold, to cool off our algae ponds. We also use it actually to air condition our buildings because it's about a tenth of the environmental cost of air conditioning compared to using electricity.
Wow.
And so, very inexpensive, but also very good for the environment. So, really kind of interesting fact about where we are here in Hawaii, that we have this access to this deep ocean water.
And I'm sure that a lot of people who know nowadays about that big area, I think it's the size of Texas, many hundreds of miles south of Hawaii, where all the plastic goes. It's an interesting area where you guys are, but it seems like you're able to keep everything pristine.
So far. I mean, we as a race, humankind, is doing a good job to really slowly destroy lots of parts of the world here. But so far, Hawaii has been immune to all that. Yeah, that's true. That's
amazing. So I wonder why the minerals in the ocean weren't causing or didn't have that great of an effect on the astaxanthin.
This is something that's amazing, that we've been growing astaxanthin since the mid-'90s, and another company's been growing it since the late 90s, and a few others have, been coming on board since then. And to this day, there's so little known about how and why it grows well, and this is one of the inherent problems in growing this. I should clarify, the algae from which we extract astaxanthin. An astaxanthin product is an extract. It's not the whole algae.
Okay.
That's different from spirulina, which if you buy a spirulina product, that's just the algae that's been dried. It's the whole algae. Nothing's been done to alter it or change it in any way. The astaxanthin, we just take the algae and we put it through, it's a technical term, but it's called supercritical carbon dioxide extraction. So it's a method of extracting a fat component out of, like say, a whole algae biomass that takes out pretty much the fats but leaves everything else behind. And it's a very expensive and technical and difficult way to do this, but it's the way that you get the purest extract that has no residual solvents. It doesn't have any of these detrimental things like hexane and acetone that other sometimes products are extracted with. But this method allows us to get like the purest astaxanthin we can, and to concentrate it in a manner that's going to make it effective in our bodies.
Okay. So you guys are leaving the fat out, or other companies are leaving the fat out?
No. The astaxanthin is the fat, and so we're taking the lipid, fats or lipids they're called, out of the algae and then encapsulating it, and this is the part of the algae on that species of algae, and the species, again, it's a technical word, but it's called Haematococcus pluvialis. If you extract this lipid component, the fat component, that has all the concentrated astaxanthin, and that's what gives you like these incredible health benefits that we'll talk about shortly.
Wow, golly! It's just I look at I've seen videos, and I've never been to your location. I've been to that island though, but I've never been to your location, and just seeing a lot of videos about how you guys are doing it and the incredible place that you have there. It's massive. How big is your location?
Well, we started in 1983 with 5 acres, and we've done a few expansions over the years. We're up to about 90 acres. And as farms go, that doesn't sound real big, but you got to consider this. Most farms get 1 or maybe 2 crops a year. We get about 52. So what we're doing here, especially spirulina, for example, is the most environmentally friendly crop in the world. With 52 harvests a year, if you look at how much protein you're getting per acre compared to, say, growing soybeans or growing, some other vegetables, or say if you compare it to grazing cattle and how much protein you're getting from the cattle versus spirulina, we're talking on cattle like thousands of times more efficient. On even soybeans, we're talking dozens of times more efficient. So the fact that the algae grows so quickly and you can harvest it roughly about once a week. In summertime, when we have a little bit longer days, we can actually sometimes harvest a whole new crop in like 4 or 5 days even. Wintertime might go up to 7 or 8 days, but it's really a fantastic way to get the most out of the land, and also with using the littlest resources. In other words, like if you look how much water it takes to grow soybeans, or how much water is used to grow cattle or something like that in order to get your protein source. Extremely efficient and environmentally responsible way to get your nutrition is growing algae.
Wow, that's just fascinating. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but we're going to talk when we get back from the break some about the benefits of the spirulina and the astaxanthin and all the different things it can do in our bodies. And we've been on it now for a while, and it's just an amazing thing. It's such a wild product, but we just love it, right?
We love it.
So we're with Bob Capelli from Nutrex-Hawaii.com, and we're going to take a little break. This is episode
275.
I lose track of these episodes.
That's why I'm here. You need some more spirulina.
I know, right? I need something. Okay, episode 275, and we'll be right back right after this break. I wanted to tell you about this really powerful and unique product called the Q Laser. Did you know there's over 2,500 peer-reviewed clinical research studies showing the benefits of low-level laser therapy on the body? We had Dr. Larry Lytle on episode 165 talking all about it. Dr. Lytle, what is the Q Laser?
The Q Laser is a light-delivering device, handheld, rechargeable, that is for lay people and professionals, that works at the cell level of the body to restore energy. Since the body is all composed of cells and the cells are composed of atoms, it's good for any and everything in the body. It is especially beneficial for injuries. It will reduce swelling and inflammation before your eyes. Literally, you can have a sprained ankle and apply the laser, and within 30 minutes you can see that the swelling in the ankle has been reduced. Since all disease is inflammatory, you can assume that the same process is working if you have some type of intestinal problem. We have pictures of using a heat instrument to diagnose the intestinal inflammation. We can show that intestinal inflammation is pretty much gone within 3 minutes using the Q1000 laser. It's the number one tool in your medicine cabinet. I have a saying, never leave home without your laser. I have had 3 serious burns, and each time I had my laser with me, I applied the laser immediately after I had the burn. I never even blistered.
Kate and I don't want to be without ours. We've worked out a special deal with Dr. Lytle for all of our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how the Q Laser can dramatically improve your health, go to extremehealthradio.com/laser. So recently we had a really, really great doctor and author on our show, Dr. Doris Rapp, and she was on episode number 56. And she talked about these really great Austin air purifiers and the necessity of having clean air in your house. And she was talking about how inside of our houses, the air is very, very toxic, and it's more toxic than even outside. And the reason is because there's chemicals that are off-gassing from our paints that are in our house, our chemicals, and our carpets, and the dust and the pollen and the mold and everything else that's inside the air of our house. And we don't get good ventilation. And so having some of these air purifiers are really, really critical. And I spoke with her at length off the air about why she likes these Austin air purifiers and why she promotes them. And it turns out that not only do they get rid of the pollens and the allergens and the dust and the particles and everything that's floating around in your air like most purifiers do, which is great, but they also get rid of, I think, 3,000 different chemicals that are inside. They're just floating around your house. And, these things end up in our lungs and in our bloodstream and all of that kind of stuff. And Doris Rapp has been researching this kind of information for many, many years. I think she's in her 80s now, so she really has a handle on which products are good and which products are not so good. And she recommends the Austin Air. And after talking with her, doing a ton of research on my own, and speaking with a company and looking into it from a lot of different angles, we agree with her. So if you're interested in a good quality air purifier, check it out. You can learn more at extremehealthradio.com/Austin, and you'll be redirected to a website that will sell these things. And They're really, really great machines, and I highly recommend them. If you have a baby, you want to have these things in their room or in the room where you sleep, or you can take them out and put them in your family room. So if you want to listen to that episode, extremehealthradio.com/56 to learn what she says about them, feel free, but we highly recommend them. So it's extremehealthradio.com/Austin, or you could check out our store and learn more about it on there as well. So thanks for listening, and let's get back to the show.
All free shows, all the time, on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
That was quite the dance move there, Kate. I like that.
Thank you. As much as you can dance to music like this, I'm trying.
So we're going to give Maggie one more chance. What do you think?
Okay, one more bark though, Maggie, and you're out.
If she barks one more time in the studio, she's going to be kicked out.
Hopefully she'll just lay there. She looks pretty tired right now.
Well, we're having a great time here with Bob Capelli from Nutrex Hawaii, a company that we are now aligned with, which we're very excited about. And this is episode 275, and we're talking about astaxanthin, spirulina, antioxidants, and we're going to get into a lot of the benefits of these types of things in our bodies. So I just want to let everyone know, too, just so you know, about our upcoming show schedule. We've got lots of great guests coming up. Tomorrow is our Free For All Friday show, and that's every Friday at 9 a.m., and then on Monday, we have Robert Mueller, and then we'll be talking about the BARF diet for dogs, the biologically appropriate raw food diet, which is the diet Maggie's on.
BARF does not sound very good in and of itself.
Does not sound good. Then we got Billy Best. He's going to be talking about his cancer story.
Oh, right.
They tried to strong-arm him into getting chemotherapy. He's got quite a story about his overcoming his cancer. And Barbara Allen next week as well. So lots of great stuff going on at Extreme Health Radio. So really appreciative of all you guys joining the chat room. We broadcast live 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So if you'd like to join the show, you can join and be a part of the chat room and the community on there. And Bob, before doing the show, I learned that you share a similar passion that I do, is playing basketball.
Oh, yeah. Are you a player?
I try to play. I loved playing in high school.
He's actually really good.
Yeah, I'm sure you're much better than I am. I play because I love it. I'm not great. I couldn't make my high school team, but I've been playing for so many years. I'm 54 now, and I'm still playing usually at least once a week, sometimes twice. But I do a couple other sports, but that's by far my favorite.
And that is, I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, that's a very difficult sport, basketball. I mean, so is maybe long-distance running or something, but it's very difficult on the joints, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is, and I actually have. This is sort of I have a two-pronged personal testimonial about our products, and one of these prongs has to do with basketball, and so this is how I got introduced to, or this is how I started using our products. So. I've been in the natural supplement industry for about 25 years now, and I've only been with Nutrex Hawaii for the last 12. So the first 12, 13 years I was working on the East Coast in New York City area as a distributor or working for a distributor of natural supplements. Mm-hmm. And one of the brands we carried, sure enough, was Nutrex Hawaii. So they had the spirulina product. I knew a little bit about it. I mean, we had so many products. I mean, we had literally about 8,000 different supplements that our distributorship was carrying. And so I was not a spirulina user, I'll be honest. I mean, I used plenty of different supplements, but I had not tried spirulina at that point. I heard about this new antioxidant that was tested out against other antioxidants and was by far the most potent. And it was called Bioastin astaxanthin. Bioastin is the Nutrex trade name. The raw material is called astaxanthin. So, being very health conscious, being in the natural supplement industry, I said, I know antioxidants are good for me. I was already taking antioxidants before that, but why not take this one that's the most powerful, that's been documented in actual scientific research to be much more powerful? Now, since then, we've learned a lot more about not only is it powerful, but it's a very different type of antioxidant, which we can talk about if you like later. But the key thing is, I said, I just want to take a strong antioxidant. And so I started using the Bioastin astaxanthin at the time. And this is probably, well, I've been at Nutrex for about 12 years, so this is probably about almost 13 years ago. And at that time, I was in my, early 40s, and I had been playing basketball for many years, and I was finding the last few years that I was starting to have a lot of different, mostly knee issues. So, like you said earlier, Justin, if you play a lot of basketball, it starts affecting you sooner or later, mostly in the knees, I've found anyway. Yeah. And I was starting to think to myself, geez, am I going to have to give up my favorite sport because it's just too much on me? And it was a little sad for me. The other thing I was having, I was getting a lot of muscle soreness too the days after a hardcore basketball workout. So I was saying, well, geez, how much longer do I have of this? And taking this Bioastin astaxanthin, I didn't think it was going to do anything other than just work as an antioxidant and help, prevent all these life-threatening diseases that oxidation causes. But I didn't change anything else, and about a month or so after I started taking it, I was finding I had no knee soreness, I had no muscle soreness after the days after basketball. And it's interesting, but like after that, we found through research that Nutrex's parent company, Cyanotech is the name of it, has done. We found several human clinical studies showing that this Bioastin astaxanthin can actually help prevent all sorts of, I shouldn't say prevent, but help reduce the pain and inflammation from all sorts of different joint and tendon and muscle issues. So I found something personally that hadn't even been proven in clinical research beforehand, and I said, wow, this is incredible stuff, and that's why I sought out this job that I currently have with Nutrex. I started taking the spirulina afterwards, after I started at Nutrex, so about a year later. And here's this is the second prong of my testimonial, is that not only does it help with joint and muscle soreness, but if you take these two products together, and I'm not alone, a lot of people say the same thing, it either greatly reduces or, in my case, it's eliminated getting sick. So it's been now like 12 years that I've been taking this. I have to fly a lot for my job because I'm the main educator. I go all over the world. We're in 63 different countries where our products are sold. So I'm going all over the world, sitting in these incubators for germs and airplanes. And I never literally have had a cold or flu in 12 years. Wow. So this stuff is revving up your immune system. It's helping prevent joint soreness. It's doing all kinds of stuff to help other parts of your body as well. But that's what I felt personally about our products, how they've helped me.
So what is what's the astaxanthin? Let's start with that one. What is that doing to the cell membrane of cells? How does it affect the cell membrane of cells and in turn affect our muscles and tissues and things like that?
Well, this goes back to when I was saying that not only is it the most powerful antioxidant that's been found, but it's also a unique antioxidant in a few different ways. And one of the ways is that many antioxidants can't get throughout our entire bodies. We found in research that astaxanthin can get throughout the entire body. So it can get into our skin, for example. And another very interesting benefit of taking astaxanthin internally is that after it takes a couple weeks or a month or so sometimes, but it will concentrate throughout different parts of the body, and one of the places it concentrates is in the skin. So when it concentrates in our skin, what does that do for us? Well, its effects are twofold. First of all, it works as an internal sunscreen. So you take the capsule in your mouth, and after time, it gets in your body and it's preventing inflammation of the skin, which is what sunburn is. So it's preventing damage from UV exposure. And the second thing that has been shown to do, and this was an amazing study done here in the USA on 45 middle-aged women. This was done a few years ago. You take the capsules internally, and after, again, it doesn't happen overnight, but after 2, 4, 6 weeks or so, it's concentrating in the skin, and it's actually it's measurably improving the quality of your skin. In other words, making it's essentially an internal beauty pill too. So people find this hard to believe, but again, this is not something we're just saying, like people says it works that way. This is a double-blind, placebo-controlled human clinical study showing that it can help reduce fine wrinkles, number one. Number two, it can help improve skin moisture. Number three, it can help improve something called skin elasticity. That's important for having a healthy, high-quality skin. It can even help reduce spots and freckles. So for our skin, it's really an amazing thing that this capsule you take in your mouth goes all through the body, gets into your skin, and helps prevent damage from UV, helps prevent sunburn, and also helps improve the appearance of the skin.
That's wild. How many milligrams a day do people have to take in order to get those kind of effects?
Just usually like 4 to 6 milligrams should be good for that. For joint problems we talked about earlier, you should really bump it up to 12 milligrams, which is Nutrex sells it in a few different strains. We sell it in a 4 milligram. We sell it in a 6 milligram vegetarian capsule that's called Bioastin Supreme. And then recently, just a couple of years ago, we came out with a 12 milligram, that's really more for joint problems and for people that are athletes, and because it has some very positive effects for athletes as well.
You know, it's amazing. I wonder what's going on inside the body, because if the astaxanthin is having this kind of an effect on the skin, and a lot of people talk about how our skin is sort of the last place on the body to receive nutrients because it's the farthest away from the heart and the nervous system and blood flow. If it's having that kind of an effect on the skin, I'm sure it's having some incredible effects inside the body to the tissues and to the skin, if you would call it that, on the inside as well, to different organs.
Well, yeah, and that's why I started taking it, because, again, it was an antioxidant that was very strong, and oxidation and inflammation are, they're actually closely related, but these are the two things that are, over time, causing us to get all sorts of life-threatening diseases, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's. I mean, if you run down the list of what kills us, most of the long-term things that are really causing us to die before our time are related to either oxidation and or inflammation. So, so we found that this astaxanthin not only gets into the skin, gets into the muscles. Obviously, that's how it's helping prevent my muscle soreness after I play basketball. It gets into all the organs you mentioned. It gets into the heart. It gets into liver and kidneys. It gets throughout all of our internal organs. Something that's not common in many good antioxidants. A lot of the antioxidants can't get up into the brain and the eyes and help support these vital organs. And astaxanthin has been documented to be able to actually get into the brain and eyes and help these organs as well. So just across the board, astaxanthin is getting throughout the body and providing all this necessary protection to the different parts of our body that need it.
Yeah, as far as a anecdotal story, my mom, I got her on it a few years ago, your Bioastin, and she had the signs of macular degeneration, and I forget if she had the wet macular degeneration.
She did.
Was it the wet or dry? It was wet, right?
It was the wet.
So wet, yeah, and we had her start taking your stuff, and it wasn't very long until she went back into her doctor, and
after they told her it would just progressively, obviously, get worse.
Yeah, they told her that it was going to progressively get worse. And they gave her a really bad prognosis, and she got on your products, been on it for a long time. She's still on it, and every time she goes to get her eyes checked, everything's stable, everything's normal, and she was really worried there. I don't know that, it's, I mean, I can't really say that the Bioastin is doing this, but it's a really strong, anecdotal coincidence, I think.
Well, yeah, and I want to make clear that there's no human clinical studies showing that astaxanthin can help with macular degeneration at all. There are some good human clinical studies showing that astaxanthin can help with something that's much more prevalent called eye fatigue. And there's actually now been 10 different human clinical studies showing that astaxanthin can either prevent or, once you have it, help to reverse eye fatigue. Now, eye fatigue is for people that have office jobs and are on the computer all day long, or people that are watching too much TV, or just doing all sorts of things that are creating this just the last 50, 100 years have there even been TVs around, and so these are things that are new to humans, and getting your eyes like overused in these ways can really be a problem. And astaxanthin has been shown again in these studies to help prevent and once you have eye fatigue to reduce it. So that's one thing. And another thing that's very interesting, astaxanthin has been shown in another human clinical study to help with what's called visual acuity, and all that, it's just another fancy sort of medical term, but all that means is the ability to see fine detail. So, these are, there's no human clinical evidence about macular degeneration. We don't even talk about that, but there are definite human studies showing that it can help with some other really important parts of eye health.
That's wild because, when you think about your eye health, a lot of people just take our eyes for granted. We just think about all the other cancer and things like that, but if someone were to remove your eyesight, could you imagine how horrible that would be? What an amazing thing. So somehow the components in the astaxanthin are small enough to get into those little tiny areas of the eye.
Well, again, I don't really know how that works, whether it's a question of size or whatever, but another area, brain health, there's been some interesting studies showing that it can potentially help with a different area, and human studies, these are with brain health. And we kind of worry about this sometimes because when we talk about astaxanthin, there are so many different areas of research. Now, our company, Nutrex, has focused more on joint health. That's been our joint and tendon health. That's been our primary area. Secondarily, we've focused on skin health, and we did the landmark study that showed that astaxanthin could help prevent sunburns as an internal supplement. So other companies have focused on other things, other universities, a lot of different universities. In fact, at the University of, Washington State University, up in eastern Washington State, they did some great research on astaxanthin for immunity. So, like I was talking about earlier, how it's helped me to not get colds and flu with all this flying around the world I do. That's actually also documented by this Washington State University study where this was the very lowest dosage human clinical study ever to show a benefit. They did it at, they did a placebo, so the people were getting a pill that looked just like it and didn't have any astaxanthin in it. Then they did another group of humans in the study took a 2 milligram dosage, and the last part of the study was at humans taking an 8 milligram dosage. Now, this was very strange because we've never seen this in any other real areas of research, but they found that at a 2 milligram dosage, there was a slightly better effect for immunity, for raising immune markers in the blood, than at 8 milligrams. So the range really fluctuates, but we say a minimum of 2 milligrams for immunity and up to 12 milligrams for people that are, really athletes or have, serious joint health issues. Most people get by real well with taking about 4 to 8 milligrams a day. What I recommend if somebody says, what should I do? I say take 12 milligrams for, a month or two, when you're just getting going, because that's going to really help load you up and concentrate it throughout all the different organs in the body, concentrate it in the skin, and then most people can get by going down to 4 to 8 milligrams a day after that.
Okay, that's kind of a cool thing, because People might want to consider doing that too, maybe in the summertime if they're going to spend more time out in the sun. That might be kind of a nice way to ease into the summer.
Well, yeah, the country that's most into astaxanthin for skin health, I'd say, in the world is Japan, and they sell a lot of astaxanthin in Japan, and most of the companies there stress that its skin health benefits. The country that I'd say is right behind it is in England, and what happened was two things have happened in England in the media over the last few years that has a lot of people in England taking astaxanthin for their skin. The first one was an article in, I believe it was the biggest newspaper by circulation in England, and this article talked about astaxanthin for sunburn protection. So we found that our distributor over there was they were doing very well with astaxanthin sales for like the months around summertime when the English would take their holidays. They'd take a vacation down to Spain or somewhere where it was sunny. And in England, most people know it's not a very sunny place. So people there were freaking out. They said, "Well, I don't want to go on vacation and like not be able to go out to the beach." And so they were loading up on astaxanthin for a month or so before because of this article. Then the second thing that hit the media in England was an article. This was just about a year or two, or a couple of years ago, that was, again, this was in the second most widely read newspaper in England, and the article was about two famous media stars, women. I'm sure you know their names, Gwyneth Paltrow, Academy Award-winning actress, and the second one was a supermodel, Heidi Klum, that were both using our Hawaiian astaxanthin because of the beauty parameters, these things I talked about, the fine wrinkles and the skin moisture and elasticity, and they had found that it was working wonders for them. So there's this hasn't happened much in the U.S. To the extent it has in England, but there's this buzz about using astaxanthin for skin health over there. Here in the U.S., we've had a little bit of that. I don't know if have you guys heard of this doctor called Nicholas Perricone? He's a dermatologist.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he's written a couple New York Times best-selling books, and it's always about skin health because it's his field, dermatology.
Yeah.
And the books, in fact, one of them had a 3-page little section about astaxanthin because he's so into it for people that want to really help protect their skin and make their skin look better. And then he's been on Oprah twice where he mentioned astaxanthin. So that was like the two really big things that happened, the New York Times best-selling book and the Oprah appearances in the U.S. for astaxanthin for skin health. That was going back this is going back 5-6 years ago. So that was one of there's been like these little things over time that have helped spark interest in these interests that comes out of the media, and those were really the first in that area here in the U.S.
I love that. I love that people are becoming more aware of this kind of thing. And when we get back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about spirulina, maybe some of the things that it can do for the body.
I have a few chat room questions as well.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. This is episode 275, and we're with Bob Capelli from Nutrex-Hawaii.com, and we'll be right back right after this break. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. Hey guys, if you've been following our work for any length of time, you know that I'm a big fan of raw food. I did a raw food diet actually from 2003 to 2010, 100%, and I loved it. And raw food is a huge part of my diet, and I just love it. And if you're interested in making healthy, really amazing raw food dishes without spending hours and hours in the kitchen, I would highly recommend checking out a program put together by Russell James called the Raw Chef Program. You could check it out at extremehealthradio.com/raw chef. And I have to say, it's absolutely incredible. I have it, and it's got hundreds of hours of video, professionally done video, along with workbooks and PDF files. And he walks you through how to make the most amazing, delicious raw food meals that don't take forever. Everything from mock pizzas and pasta to ice cream to cheese to fluffy bread, if you can imagine it. It's incredible. So I highly recommend you checking it out. It's you can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/raw chef. And I think you are absolutely going to love this program. So check it out now.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
Maggie's curled up on the biomass. She's ready for the last segment.
She's a trooper. Look what we put her through.
Oh my gosh. We're having a great time here with Bob Capelli from Nutrex Hawaii, episode 275. We broadcast live 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Having a good time here talking about astaxanthin, spirulina, these types of antioxidants. So lots of good stuff here. And we have a bunch of questions, don't we, Kate?
Yes.
You want to get through some of these, Kate?
Yeah. Bob, can I throw a quick question at you from the chat room? It says, at one point, can we ask Bob to distinguish between the effects and benefits between his product and just a regular microalgae product? Is there a quick way to summarize that?
When they say a regular microalgae product, I don't know if they're talking about a competitor's spirulina or astaxanthin or just another microalgae, but I mean, we do things very differently from other companies. Let me just give spirulina as an example. We don't spare any expense to make the very best, highest quality spirulina in the world. There are probably about 50 to 60 different spirulina farms in the world. I'd say about 2/3 of those are in China. The other than one other in the USA, which is in California, which is actually a pretty good product. Most of the others are in developing countries like India and Thailand and Cuba. And these products, a lot of them, for example, don't have very good hygiene. And what they do is they grow a product that's not in hygienic conditions, so it ends up with lots of bacterial counts. It ends up with a lot of heavy metals, and the heavy metals they can't get rid of. So you'll when you just take it to a lab and test it, you'll find that it's got lead and mercury and all these things you don't want in your bodies, whereas ours has virtually none. But here's what they do to get rid of the bacteria: is they irradiate it. So when they irradiate it, what it does is the irradiation actually is killing the bacteria, but it's also killing most of the key nutrients that are giving you the health benefits. So that's a real problem. Now, another problem is the way that the algae is dried. So algae obviously grows in water, and in order to get it into a form that it can be sold to consumers, it has to be dried somehow. We have a patented drying method that our founder developed many years ago here in Hawaii. It's called ocean chill drying. So it dries the algae in about 3 to 7 seconds at very low heat levels. And here's the key thing. It dries it in an environment that has less than 1% oxygen. So when we're talking about astaxanthin, we're talking about spirulina. It's got a lot of different antioxidants in it. What's the enemy of an antioxidant? What do you think it is?
I would say oxidant, right?
Well, oxygen, yeah. So if you have an antioxidant that's going to go into your body and start picking up these free radicals and singlet oxygen and extinguishing them, if before it gets in your body, it's exposed to too much oxygen, it becomes inert and it's not going to do anything for you. So when people, other companies that dry their algae, a lot of them are just either sun drying it or air drying it. We're getting it dried in just 3 to 7 seconds, and so our algae, literally from the time it's harvested to the pond until the time it's finished product, it's only 30 minutes. Most farms are taking hours and hours and hours to do this, and what happens is a lot of the antioxidants, a lot of the really important anti-inflammatory constituents, they're neutralized. So by the time it gets to you, it's not going to have hardly any, if any at all, health benefits. So this is a real critical difference, is how you're drying it, how you're handling it, how you're packaging it. We use, for spirulina, we use a glass amber bottle. We put an oxygen absorber in the bottle. We have like a special cap that prevents any seepage of oxygen. Because again, if even a little oxygen gets in the bottle before it gets to the consumer, guess what? It's going to, again, neutralize the antioxidants. It's not going to have the health benefits. So I could go on. There's about 10 different things we do differently than other algae companies to make sure when the product gets to the consumer, it's just as fresh as when we harvest it from our ponds.
That's wow.
That's great.
And there's also the idea that some companies will actually put other things in the spirulina, say, for example, and then they'll say it's 100% spirulina or something like that.
But it has all these fillers.
It's got all this other stuff in there too, right? A lot of companies do that?
You know, that was going on, I think, quite a bit some years ago, and in other countries it's still going on. Fortunately, in the U.S., I don't know, well, you have, I think, a worldwide reach, so maybe, we may have listeners outside the U.S. now, so you have to be careful of that outside the U.S. Right now in the U.S., there's been enough regulatory oversight where you're not assured of getting a quality product at all when you buy any sort of supplement, but you are assured of at least getting what they say is on the label, pretty much. So that's something when I started this industry 25 years ago was very different. Like, people were selling stuff and calling it one thing, and you just didn't know what you were getting at that point.
Yeah.
I know Justin wants to get into talking a little bit about the spirulina, as do I, but we are also wondering in the chat room, is there any people that they should stick away from at certain times, whether they're pregnant, or can children take both these products or all these products? Is there anything that people should be a little careful of at times?
Very important question. Safety is what you're talking about. And,
yes.
We've done safety tests. We've done toxicity tests, for example. There are 2 different types of toxicity tests. Acute toxicity, which would mean for example, a normal dosage of astaxanthin is 4 milligrams up to 12 milligrams. The toxicity test I believe we did was at 240 milligrams. So it was like 20 times the maximum dose.
Yeah.
And then you test, do a single dose like that, test the blood for any kind of irregularities, any kind of potential safety issues. Absolutely zero. The other type of toxicity test is called chronic toxicity. That's like taking the product at maybe 4 to 10 times the normal dose and taking it over a course of quite a long time, and again testing to see if there's any changes. Absolutely none. There's been lots of animal safety testing. There's been spirulina is different than astaxanthin because it's just a whole algae, and spirulina has been literally in the human diet for thousands of years. I mean, it grows naturally to this day in a couple of lakes in Africa and Central America. and it's been used, like the Aztecs and the Mayans used it for centuries, and so there's a long history of safety on that. And when you ask about actually pregnant women, there's pretty much no better food you can eat to ensure not only your own health, but also like a real healthy baby than to take spirulina during pregnancy. It's a great thing to do to really help get your pregnancy or ensure that it's on a very healthy path.
If you are pregnant, can you take too much of the milligrams of the astaxanthin? Like if you took the 12 milligrams per day, would that be too much, or is there an upper limit there with either of the products?
Yeah, on neither one have we found any issues if you get even way above what we suggest on the label.
Okay.
What you do find on either product, because they're both carotenoids, which are carotenoids are what we call pigments or colors that are very vibrant in nature. So if you look at, why is corn yellow? It's yellow because there's some zeaxanthin in there. It's a yellow carotenoid. Why are carrots? That's the most famous one. Why are carrots orange? Because they have beta carotene. That's where the word comes from, which is an orange pigment or carotenoid. So both of our products have, astaxanthin is a carotenoid and has a couple other supporting carotenoids with it. Spirulina has a multitude of different carotenoids, and if you take large doses of them, the one thing that you might find is you may get, especially on the palms of your hand and the soles of your feet, you may get a slight sort of orange tint to it. But that's not a safety concern. That's just a slight side effect, I guess you'd call it, but nothing that you have to be concerned about health-wise.
Yeah, it's like when people used to drink a lot of carrot juice.
That is interesting. So I know, Justin, you want to get into the spirulina, but Bob, one quick question. Have people given these products to their animals, their pets? Do you suggest that?
Yeah, the spirulina is used quite a lot in the fish feed industry. A lot of people add it to the fish feeds. Astaxanthin is also used in the aquaculture or fish feed industry. They have, even though these products are not inexpensive, and feed manufacturers don't want to put things in there that are going to make their products non-competitive price-wise with their competition, but they found that there's enough health benefits to both that different companies will have it like sort of a premium product that will use one or the other, spirulina or astaxanthin in it. An interesting anecdote is that the lead researcher at Purina pet food company, who's been the lead researcher for like over 20 years, his name is Dr. Arlie Reynolds. He lives, believe it or not, I don't know how he can work for Purina because I don't think they have any sort of facility up there, but he lives in Alaska, and his passion is he's a dog sled runner, and he experimented with you can imagine how many different nutrients he's looked at to put into their premium pet foods over the years, but he's experimented with like probably thousands of nutrients by this time. He says astaxanthin is the one where he saw the most remarkable difference in his dogs, where he'd give them astaxanthin, it would improve their health, keep them healthier longer, it improved their endurance. He couldn't believe it, and he was recommending for a long time to Purina to use it in their premium dog food lines. Now, what happens is, because we talked before about oxidation, it would require real special packaging and handling, and it hasn't worked out so far in that respect. But we do have lots of people, including Dr. Reynolds, who just take a capsule and put it in their dog food or open it up and squirt it out into the food, and the dogs eat it real fast, and they get the benefits that way. So
that's awesome.
Lots of different animals can benefit from both these products for sure.
Awesome.
And people talk a lot about the high percentage of protein in spirulina. I think I've heard numbers thrown around like 60 or 65% protein, but how many grams is it? Is it a good source of protein in terms of the actual grams you get, or how does the protein work with the spirulina?
Protein was a main selling point for spirulina years and years ago. Our company never really did that, but I think some other companies did. Weight loss was another one. There's a big article. In fact, the article that launched spirulina into the consumer mind was this is way before I was even involved with this at all, but this is back in the 70s, and it was an article in, I believe it was in the National Enquirer, and so that's like a very questionable publication. But talking about using spirulina for weight loss. Now, there had been one human study showing that if you took spirulina over time, it didn't change anything else. I think it was a 6-month period. You'd lose 3 pounds. So there is some indication that it could help with weight loss over time. But I think that publication really went overboard and talking about miracle weight loss, and there was this big run on spirulina in the late 70s that kind of launched it. Wow. Now, we don't market it for either protein or for weight loss because we don't feel spirulina's main benefits are there. We feel that it's great to help prevent all sorts of different diseases that can really affect you and kill you over time. We feel that it's, based on clinical evidence, we feel that it's a great product for energy levels, just for feeling more energetic and healthier every day, and for immunity for sure. We sponsored a study at University of California, Davis a few years back that showed great effects on immunity and anemia in elderly people. There's been other clinical trials as well. And there's on the energy front, there's been a couple of studies showing just taking, and this is for both products, but I'll talk about spirulina now, just taking spirulina and changing nothing else, both people that were training actively, like athletes, and people that were just normal people, could last much longer on a treadmill. And this is really kind of amazing, but for years before these studies were done, the Chinese Olympic team was prescribed by their trainers spirulina to take every day, and they didn't even know exactly how or why it was working, but they knew it was good for athletes. And we all know that China actually is usually first or second in terms of number of overall medals or gold. Well, usually U.S. is number one in overall, but they in a couple Olympics have been number one in gold medals. So I think any athlete that wants to get a better performance, a better workout, you take spirulina and or astaxanthin or both together, and you're going to really see some effects as an athlete.
It almost seems like the spirulina we have from you guys is it seems like such a concentrated powder. It almost seems like a powdered version of beet juice, doesn't it? It's so fine and it's so strong and rich in its color. It's pretty amazing.
In fact, a lot of I just take the tablets because it's easier, and I'm lazy to make smoothies every morning. But a lot of people that put it in smoothies or put it in different recipes, a little bit of spirulina, you put just a teaspoon in a large smoothie, and it makes it this deep, greenish, rich greenish, with maybe even a bluish tint color. Yeah. And that's because of all these the colors or pigments that are in the spirulina, the different ones, the chlorophyll, and there's one in spirulina that I should talk about that's only found in blue-green algae, of which spirulina is the main algae that's being sold commercially. It's called phycocyanin. And again, a long sort of technical word, but phycocyanin is a bluish pigment. And it's been shown in clinical research to be very good for a multitude of different things. Outstanding for brain health. Very good for helping to detox and prevent any sort of problems to the liver and kidneys. Wonderful as an antiviral, very good for just boosting immunity overall. This one substance that you can only find in spirulina and other blue-green algae, it's got this just multitude of different documented health benefits.
And how do you say that name of that again, Bob?
It's called phycocyanin.
Huh.
It's a long sort of technical word, and you see the root of it, cyan. That's I think the Greek word for blue.
Yeah, it's a very deep blue color.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because you don't really eat a lot of blue foods. I'm
thinking maybe blueberries,
but that's I don't know any other blue foods.
Not too many.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. And so it's also good, I heard, you mentioned anemia. Is that because it's really high in iron? Is it, or does it have a lot of iron in there?
Yes. Hawaiian spirulina actually, and this is what we stress about We talked earlier about some differences in how it's produced, like our spirulina versus others, and but the key thing you look for is nutrient levels, because the nutrients in spirulina, in this like wonderful synergy that nature's put together and them working together, are why it helps with all these different health issues. So one of the key things about Hawaiian spirulina is that it's got much, much higher levels of nutrients compared to all the other brands. In fact, even compared to the second best one in the world, which is called Earthrise spirulina from California, much, much higher levels of iron, much higher levels of polysaccharides. That's something we haven't even talked about yet, but that's another extremely health-giving nutrient. Much higher levels of enzymes like superoxide dismutase. All these things that are studied for their health benefits that are components of spirulina. If you buy the Hawaiian one, you're getting much higher levels. Now, on iron, the levels are literally 2 to 3 times higher than other brands. So we're not going to levels that can potentially have problems for people, like, say, a lot of, like, men, they say you shouldn't take too much iron, but we're talking, our levels are still, like, probably 40 to 50% of the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for iron. It's not like you're getting 3-4 times the level, so it's not going to hurt you in any way, but definitely for menstruating women, for that are very prone to anemia, a wonderful absorbable form of iron that's going to really benefit them and keep their blood strong and keep them from getting anemia.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure it has a lot to do with the fact that, like we talked about earlier at the beginning, where you guys have the volcanoes there, and you have that deep water that you get from so far deep with all the minerals. I'm sure it has a lot to do with all those factors.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing about our spirulina is that, two key things. Anything grown in water or anything that contains water, I think the water source is very important. And we use that deep sea water that has the 94 trace minerals. That's only 5%. The other 95% of the water we use is actually, it's taken from underneath our island. So the water's taken from about 1,000 feet up the side of the volcano, and they drill down about 2,000 feet, so going 1,000 feet underneath the island, and it's this freshwater lens that is, like, again, very pure. It's rain forest water that's drained through lava rock and then underneath the island, and it's actually tested by our county officials and, like, one of the purest water sources. Now, every other spirulina farm in the world, to our knowledge, and we're very knowledgeable about, like, who all the competitors are, they use either river water or irrigation water for their spirulina. So they're starting with not a great water source. So that's critical. And then the other thing that we do here in Hawaii that's different is that we have the perfect growing environment where you can actually grow 12 months a year. Now, every other spirulina farm in the world either has to shut down in winter, if it gets, like, the one in California has to shut down for about 4 or 5 months over winter time. Ones in, like, the very tropical areas where it gets very, very hot in summer, or they get monsoons and it rains a lot, they have to shut down for 2-3 months when it gets too hot. So we've been growing the same spirulina species for 30 years now, and as I said earlier, we get about a harvest every week, so we're getting 52 harvests. Wow. Now, if you think about that, 30 years times 50 harvests a year, that's what, a 1,500 harvest. That's the equivalent in human evolution. Say if each generation takes 20 years or so, I mean, you're talking a lot of years of evolution. So our strain, it's the same species, spirulina, but there are different strains, and the strain we have here in Hawaii has evolved over that long with this continuous cultivation where we never stop growing it. We just take some out and harvest it and leave the rest in to reseed the next batch. Wow. And that's allowed it to, like, evolve into a superior strain that has, again, much higher levels of nutrients.
Wow, it's like breeding almost. That's amazing. So what is the difference between, like, spirulina? We hear a lot about chlorella. What are the differences between all these different sort of algae? Or the main differences?
Chlorella is actually a real good product. I don't personally take it, but I do think if you can't get your hands on a good quality spirulina product, that's definitely a good alternative. Chlorella spirulina is called a blue-green algae. Chlorella is just a green algae, so it doesn't have this blue phycocyanin element that we talked about earlier. Now, one of the problems with chlorella, and again, I do think it's a good product overall, but make sure if you are going to use that product, get it, again, from a very very high-quality producer. I think the most famous one that has been tested for many years and it is definitely a good product is called Sun Chlorella. And the reason I say that is because chlorella has, like a lot of algae, has a very hard cell wall. And with this hard cell wall, what that means is that you have to mechanically crack the cells. Otherwise, if you take it and the cells aren't cracked and you eat it, it's going to go right through your body and none of the nutrients are going to be absorbed. So the company that I think does a good job of cracking the cell walls is called Sun Chlorella, so that's the one I would recommend if you are going to use chlorella. If you use something else, I can't say for sure, but I think a lot of them don't really know. It's kind of a technical process how to make sure they crack the wall and still can preserve the nutrients, through that mechanical cracking process.
Wow.
So that's a key thing. Now, if you just compare the two products like side by side in terms of nutrients, the range of nutrients and the levels of nutrients, you find that spirulina overall does have. Spirulina is the most concentrated food nutritionally in the world, compared to chlorella, compared to any other algae, compared to anything. So you do get a little bit more bang for your buck with spirulina. But again, I'm not saying anything negative about chlorella. It's a very good product and does have some good nutrients and some good health-giving properties as well.
Do you think spirulina, does it need to be refrigerated or taken with food or without food? How do people take it, and what's the best way to take it?
Without refrigeration, we have a 3-year shelf life where we can guarantee the nutrient levels because the way we package it for 3 years from the day it's manufactured. Now, once it's opened, the day you open that bottle, a little oxygen is getting in there. So it's not going to be any kind of safety concern at all. It's not going to destroy the product overnight. But as soon as the oxygen gets in there, it starts oxidizing some of the antioxidants. So you'll find over the course of a couple months, once the bottle's been opened, that you can get a loss of oxygen. Now, a loss of the nutrients due to the oxygen. The way to prevent that loss of nutrients to a great degree is once you open the bottle, put it in the refrigerator. That's going to really help. And astaxanthin is a little different because it's in a soft gel capsule. That soft gel capsule and the fact that it's in a very healthy oil base, a special oil. But the oil and the gel cap itself helps to really protect the astaxanthin pretty well. So, those, it doesn't hurt to refrigerate those as well, but it's not quite as critical with astaxanthin as it is with spirulina. Now, in terms of when to take them, spirulina anytime is fine. The one time that we recommend people don't is right before, late in the day or right before bedtime, because spirulina is an energy increasing food, and I don't have a problem with this personally, but some people say that if they take spirulina, like say with dinner or later after dinner, it helps them or it prevents them from falling asleep on time. So that's a little bit of an issue. But with or without food, it's not going to hurt you nutritionally, spirulina. Astaxanthin, different. You have to take astaxanthin with food. If you take it between meals, it's not going to absorb nearly as well. And the reason of that is because astaxanthin, the nutrient in it, is this fat-soluble substance. And when you take astaxanthin with a meal that has some other fats in it, which most meals do, you're going to get a much higher level of absorption of the nutrient, and you're going to have a much better health effect.
That makes sense. Okay.
That's good to know. I have to mention to everyone, too, in the future that your coworker, Tracy, posted some really great ways to use spirulina in recipes and smoothies and things to get it in. So we'll also post that to our page. So
cool.
I'm sure smoothies are a great way to throw some stuff in there and kind of make it taste good and get your nutrients at the same time.
Well, I tell you what, Bob, we're going to be taking a vacation here pretty soon, and when we're going to be spending a lot of time in the sun. So we're going to take a little break from our supplementation. But one of the supplements we are going to be taking for sure is the astaxanthin and the spirulina for sure.
Excellent. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Here's one ending question. This is actually one for you, Justin.
Oh, okay. Wow.
How many people, Bob, have a hard time saying the word astaxanthin? Because Justin's mom can't say it for her life. She calls it astaxanthin.
When you read it, there's an X in the middle of it, and the X throws everybody off. If you just think of the X as a Z, it makes it a lot easier. So it's Asta and then Xanthin. So astaxanthin. I had trouble the first week or two I worked at the company, but after a while it becomes easy.
It's like second hat.
The best way to remember is just to say our brand name, Bioastin, and then you're going to get a high quality product, and you don't have to worry about saying the word astaxanthin.
Totally, because it is a challenge for some people.
That's great. If people want to learn more about the spirulina and the astaxanthin, we have a page up on our website, really, really informative page where we've got some really great videos on there and things like that. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex, Nutrex, there's a link for a discount code that you can use as well. So it's just really great stuff you guys got going on over there. It's so amazing and so fun. Are you guys doing a lot of innovation, trying to see and push the envelope and try to see if you can get more
new products, new ways to...
Yeah, new products or more nutrients from the products or anything like that?
We're all of the above, yeah. We're... Dr. Szewski, the founder and our chief scientist, he's got a crew working right now, especially on finding ways to get a better harvest so that we'll get more astaxanthin out of each pond. We're always looking at ways to improve the quality of the product, not just the quantity like I just spoke about, but in terms of getting like a higher nutrient levels, getting just in things like how we handle the algae, making sure that minimizing loss of nutrients, this is very critical. And then the other thing you mentioned was in terms of new products, we just are launching right now, and you can get it on Nutrex-Hawaii.com. That's our website. If you go on that website, it's not even available in stores yet, but we have what's called Green Complete. So we took our spirulina, which is the healthiest, most nutrient-rich superfood in the world, and we combined that with some antioxidants. We combined that with some other green foods. We put some probiotics in there and made a complete powdered formula that if you want to put something in your smoothie to really ensure you're getting this wide range of like complete healthy nutrients, this Green Complete is going to be a real winner. And I've tried probably 20 or 30 of these products over the years, and there are quite a few on the market. And this one here, I'll say this, that I haven't found one that tastes better, and all the flavors completely natural. So that's worth checking out as well for sure.
That's good to know, because sometimes, they either smell or taste like your front lawn, and it's not that exciting to add to your palate.
Now, what's funny about yours is the spirulina from you guys. I used to take some a long time ago just from the health food store, and it had such a strong, pungent flavor and smell. But I can add your stuff
anything.
to our smoothies all the time, and it just tastes great. Yeah,
I mean, that's another thing that we do in our processing. That when you're tasting that pungent smell, if you get a fish and you keep it fresh and you eat it right away, or if you freeze it right away, and the fish is going to have maybe a slight marine taste to it, but it's not going to be this nasty fishy smell. Uh-huh. If you let the fish sit out and it's getting older and it's not protected, it's not refrigerated, it's not or frozen, it gets this horrible smell. I think everyone probably smelled that in their life. That's oxidation going on, and that's the same thing that I was talking about earlier. We do everything we can to prevent oxidation through every step of the process, through the growing, the harvesting, the drying, the transport, the packaging, the packaging of the raw material, the end packaging once it's in bottles. So if you're getting a spirulina that's got this real strong odor, it means that they haven't handled it well at one or more places in the process. And that shows that there's been oxidation, and that means that you're not getting the nutrients that are going to give you the health benefits. So that's really good you brought that up, but it's a real key point of difference is that if you know how to handle the spirulina well all during the process, you don't mind spending the extra money to do it in the right way, you're going to have a product that's going to give the health benefits that people are looking for.
I love it. Yeah, when we first got yours, I had heard that it tastes really good, and I thought, spirulina, I've never tried a spirulina that tastes good. And so what I did was I put a bunch in some plain water just to see what it tasted like. And it was just an amazing difference of how it tasted so much different and better than all the other spirulinas I had tried. I'm not just saying that. It really did. And like I said before, it was probably because, like you said, it was really oxidized and starting to off gas or something else. But your stuff is just, I'm just addicted to it now. I love it.
Hey, my predecessor, who's one of my heroes, I mean, he taught me everything I know about these products. He used to, back in the day, there's only really Cyanotech, was, again, Nutrex's parent company, and Earthrise were the only two producers of spirulina in the world, pretty much, for quite a number of years. And then when it got real popular, all of a sudden, there was 30, 40 farms just sprung up overnight pretty much in China, and the quality was going down the tubes. And what you just said was a key thing, is that he used to actually go around to all the health food stores, and he'd have a bottle of ours, and he'd just buy a bottle off their shelf of a competing brand, and he'd say, hey, let's open this, let's smell the difference and taste the difference. And he'd do that, and he converted everybody over, because you can actually, physically, just on the spot, you can know the difference in quality just by smelling and tasting the products.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. Quite a big difference too, from when I took ours. Yeah, it's just such good stuff, and I love adding it. I feel like it's such a good way to just get all those really deep nutrients and minerals into my body.
You're just boosting anything that you're putting it on.
Great great also for the fall. When the flu goes around, things like that.
Or anytime you're traveling, like Bob was saying.
Yeah,
in your incubator.
Yeah,
in the
that's
air.
Right. So you travel a lot, and you've never really gotten sick.
Knock on wood, over 12 years now.
Wow.
Never a cold, never a flu. I mean, before I started taking this stuff, I was healthy. I mean, I consider myself pretty healthy. I mean, I'd get usually 2 or 3 colds a year maybe, and then a flu I'd get maybe once every 5 years or something like that. And now, again, I'm getting older, and they say your immune system gets a little compromised as you get older, and yet never, ever, ever do I get colds or flu. And, at 54, I'm got all kinds of energy, and like I said, I love playing basketball, love doing other active things, and don't have joint problems. I mean, for me, I consider myself a walking testimonial. My 90-year-old, this is a good story, my 90-year-old mother, who's just a complete skeptic about everything, and I'm working at this company for 3-4 years, and just telling her, Mom, you should take these products, they're so good for you. She wouldn't listen to her own son, right? And wrote books on both of the products, that showed all the scientific evidence and the clinical research, proving that they work.
It doesn't work.
Said, Mom, read these, please take the products. She wouldn't take them. So then an article comes out, it's already probably 5 or 6 years ago, in AARP magazine. So this is the American Association of Retired Persons. It's the largest publication by circulation in the country, and very respected in terms of they don't print stuff unless they're pretty darn sure that it's accurate. And so she loves that magazine. So she reads in there's an article about it was about the 5 foods that could add years to your life. In other words, the 5 foods that you've ate them, you could live longer. And the number one in the article was spirulina. And I get a call at work, and she's like, "Hey, Bob, would you mind bring me some of that spirulina you make?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've been telling you to take this for years, and you would never take it." She's like, "Oh, well, an article came out in this magazine, and now I want to try it." So now that's 5-6 years ago. She's taken every day. She uses the powder. She puts just a teaspoon in her yogurt every morning. And she's 90, and she does line dancing, and she does aerobics, and she gardens, and she walks every morning, and she doesn't get, actually, I shouldn't say she doesn't get colds and flu. She still gets, usually, maybe 1 cold a year, but she says that she gets over it fast, and she's she's telling all the people in her line dancing class that are, in their 60s and 70s that are hurt, you're young enough to be my daughter now, you better start taking this product because it's so good for you. She's got everybody here in Kona, Hawaii taking the product. So it's pretty amazing.
I love that story.
Yeah, the family members never listen to.
I was going to say we're the last ones they listen to.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's such good stuff. Well, thanks, Bob, for being on the phone and being having the time to do the show today. And it's just such a great time. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's my pleasure, and I want to say this honestly, that you asked some of the best questions of anyone I've ever done an interview with. I mean, really insightful, and really a pleasure to do this show with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Hold on the line there, Bob. I know you're busy, but we're going to close out our live show here. I just want to thank everybody for being on the show live. It's such an honor to have you in the chat room and participating with everybody else. We really appreciate that so much. And this was episode 275. So all the links that we talked about will be on today's show page, extremehealthradio.com/275. And what I'll also do is post a link in our forum, or to a forum thread I'll create for this show, where you can continue the discussion talking about spirulina, astaxanthin, and this interview. So make sure to join the other community members in the forum. It's free to sign up. And share the show with your friends if possible. If you know anyone who would appreciate this information, we would greatly appreciate it if you would share the show with with your friends using Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. But thank you.
Carrier pigeons.
Carrier pigeons. There you go. Thank you so much, everybody, for being on a live show, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you, Bob, and I apologize for the 10-minute delay there starting out. I really apologize.
Not a problem at all. Thanks again for the questions, and I got to say, Kate, you got the same name as my daughter, so I'm very partial to that. And but you guys are great. You're a lot of fun. The two of you. So.
Thanks, well, enjoy Bob. Your Kate as well, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All righty. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was nice. He has a daughter named Kate.
That's cool. All right, there you go. Another one in the can. As we say in the business.
You love saying that these days.
I do.
Good.
Now, that was a fun show, wasn't it?
Bob is awesome.
Yeah.
He is awesome.
Next time I'm in Hilo, just wandering around, I should play basketball with him. Shoot some hoops.
Just wandering around a volcano in the Vog.
In the middle, the Vog of the...
Dipping in the algae pools, just when you happen to be wandering around doing that.
Wandering around,
I'm sure there's a basketball court at, 1,500 feet or whatever he was saying.
He's actually in, he's not in
Kona.
Kona, that's
Kona.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We've been to Kona. I felt so silly at the beginning of that interview. I said, so you're on the island of Kona. In my brain, I knew that wasn't the island. I meant the city or the town of Kona.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, actually, it's called Hawaii, the big island. I'm like, how crazy. I know, I've been there. Why did I say that?
I think they do call it Kona, don't they?
That's the main part of the island, but no, it's Hawaii. It's the actual island of Hawaii.
I thought they called it like Kona, because I thought I've seen a map where it says,
Kona.
Kauai, Maui, Honolulu, or what's the other one?
Maui.
Oahu. But then I thought it said Kona, but
no.
It's actually Hawaii, the big island.
Good. I'm glad that I'm not totally silly in that then.
Oh no,
but I knew that.
No, that was a good show. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he was great, huh?
Yeah, that was really cool. I really liked all that he was saying about just the way they process it and how they get it and how they do all the testing on it for Fukushima and things like that.
Yep.
All the radiation. Good stuff.
The guy was so knowledgeable and just a lot of things, not only in the, Nutrex-Hawaii.com products, but just in, what was he calling it? A climate?
Oh, microclimate, yeah.
And he knows, I'm so fascinated that so many people know all these amazing little things about these, like the currents in the ocean and what kind of, how they test things, what things look like, how things are harvested.
Yeah.
Golly, I know it's his line of work, but it still just blows my mind that so much goes into, that jar of astaxanthin we get in the mail.
Right. When you order it.
Really to think about, he painted a good picture of where it starts, how fast it's, at least with the spirulina, how fast it's, dried so it doesn't get compromised, how, it gets in your thing, it's packed for goodness. So the minute you open it up, of course, it's going to receive oxygen and then it kind of starts from there. But gosh, to get it from source to your house just
is a lot of work.
As pure as it can stay.
Yeah.
Those guys are on it.
It's cool. I love that there's people out there like him and Daniel Vitalis with Surthrival, people that just really care a lot about what they're doing and going the extra mile. And sure, it may cost a little bit more, but it's just so cool to know that there's people out there that really care about quality first, because there's a lot of crap products out there.
Yeah, aren't there?
And it's, and you have to kind of wade your way through this stuff and figure out what's good and what's not, and see if you resonate with someone or a company, and then at some point you just have to jump in the deep end and trust somebody.
Yeah, I know, because otherwise you're just going to stand there twiddling your thumbs, not doing anything.
Yeah, never taking anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this stuff. The spirulina, the astaxanthin. We take 6 milligrams. I think we take 6.
Is that all we take?
Yeah. Well, each pill is 6.
So we take 2.
2 a day.
12.
Well, yeah, that's right. We take 2.
Last time I know, 6 times 2 is 12.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Wow, you're on it.
You don't have your calculator over there. I'm a little bit worried about you.
No, but this is good stuff. I really liked it, and
yeah. Bob is awesome.
And I want to let everybody know, too, we're now connected up with Nutrex Hawaii. So if you would like to get 25% off any spirulina or Bioastin, the astaxanthin. That's
huge.
25% off. That's crazy.
That's a great deal.
Usually these kind of discounts are 10%.
Yeah.
But 25% off. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex, Nutrex, and there's a big blue link on that page. There's a couple tabs there, and there's a big blue link underneath the videos and descriptions and stuff like that, where you can click on that link, and then you'll get, if you enter the code, I think it's Justin. Let me take a look here really quickly and make sure that it's...
You don't want to send it to the wrong place.
Yeah, that's right. If you use the promo code Justin, Justin, you'll get 25% off.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool. We got Dr. Oz. We got Dr. Mercola on Dr. Oz talking about astaxanthin.
I thought you said we're going to have Dr. Oz on and Dr. Mercola. I'm like, wow, I didn't see them on the schedule.
It's funny. If you look at Dr. Mercola on this page, the video is like a still shot of the video.
Oh, no. He looks like he just jumped into a room full of rattlesnakes, and he's like backing up with his hands up, and his eyeballs are huge.
Oh, it looks, doesn't it? It looks like he's just about ready to get hit by a truck.
Wow. He's bracing for impact there.
He's bracing for impact.
That's hilarious.
But that's a video he did about the benefits of astaxanthin, which is about 5 minutes long. And then we have an interview of him on Dr. Oz. And then we have an interview with him and Bob Capelli, who we just spoke to, in person with Dr. Mercola. That's
really?
About 45 minutes, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So you can learn all about more about this astaxanthin and the spirulina. And then the spirulina, we've got a bunch of videos on that page too. So a lot of times with these types of things, I think it's really important for people to know why they're taking certain things and what it does and what it's good for. And
I've mentioned this before, but like I've always trusted you. And so anything you take, I just take. I used to, and now I'm really grateful that I care about knowing so I can share with other people and also know what I'm doing. There's something so mental when you take something, knowing what it's doing, that I feel it, whether it's placebo or not. I mean, I just feel a whole new, I don't know.
Empowerment.
I guess that's the right word, yeah. Just a sense of empowerment and
because you know why you're taking
charge.
Certain things. I mean, if you're taking these supplements, have no idea why.
Yeah. Chances are you don't need half of them if you don't even know why you're taking them. So it's good to at least try.
Oh, man. So, yeah, if you want to get that discount and check out that weird face that Mercola's doing on that page, it's extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex, Nutrex. And you'll see the link at the bottom for the 25% discount. Cool stuff. I just love what they're doing. I don't know. If you watch the videos, there's a cool video on the spirulina tab. Is that the spirulina tab? Yeah, that's the spirulina tab at the top where you can see behind the lady their thing.
Oh, wow.
He said they have like 90 acres or something?
90. He said it cracked me up. He's like, we started out with 5 and we grew a few times over there. And I'm thinking, what, like 15 acres? He's like 90. He goes, we grew a tiny bit.
Yeah, that's
90
so
acres.
Much. So they get a yield every 1 week. So they got
in the summer, he said it could be every 4 to 5 days. And then in the winter, 7 to 8 days. I mean, it shows, I mean, when you're in a certain climate and a certain perfect situation for things to grow, how things can thrive.
Yeah.
It's amazing they found that the originator of the company found the exact perfect location to... oh, you muted me.
Whoops,
to help himself out, like to be able to not only produce the best in the world, but also to be able to produce it, in
the way that he does.
Yeah, so steadily.
Yeah, I mean...
They do seem to have very strict testing standards and things like that. So
at some point...
They claim to be the best in the world, don't they?
Yeah, they do. At some point, I mean, you're going to have to, as with any supplement or any product that you take, it's unless you're going to go and get the clinical research studies from the scientists and look at the stuff and actually go to the facility.
Right.
And then... look at where money goes and who funds what, and you could do this with any company. It would just take you forever to do all that. At some point, you're just going to have to say, okay, I resonate with this person, I resonate with that person, I believe what this guy's saying, And at some point, you're just going to have to jump in and say, you know what, let's give this a try, or whatever.
Well, and then be willing to change your mind. I mean, that's the thing. Like you and I do a lot. We go with what we feel is right at the time, what we feel, and then based on the information we have. And then if we have to,
if you learn something new,
bow out or change directions, then
what does Oprah say?
When you know better, you do better.
That's right.
Right?
So yeah, when we learn new stuff, we move on to another product, or we ask more questions and try to get to the bottom of all this stuff. So hopefully that was beneficial to you guys. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about astaxanthin and spirulina, or as my mom says, astaxanthin.
It's harder to say astaxanthin than
astaxanthin. I know, right?
Like she's she's making it harder on herself.
Well, she still can't produce or say say.
She can't produce words.
No, she can't say marijuana either.
Or Tijuana.
What
is it about the wanas and what is it about astaxanthin? That's not a wana.
That's not even close to a wana.
No, I don't know.
Astaxanthin.
We should start calling it Astawana and see if she could say that.
She probably would. Yeah, it would probably just roll right off her tongue. She'd know exactly how to say that. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, thanks, everybody, for joining us. That was episode 275, and what we'll do is we'll put a link to all the different things we talked about, the forum where you can, if you are taking astaxanthin or you're taking spirulina and you have some experience with it, we'd love to have you share your thoughts and experiences in our forum. It's free to sign up. So that would be great. We'll have a link to that. We'll have a link to any books and other people that Bob Capelli mentioned. And we'll have links to everything. Really great link that we're going to put in here for all these recipes of how to use it. Just an example you can make, because we just throw it in smoothies. Where did you get that? I have it right here. No, but did Tracy send that to you? Tracy posted it in the chat room. Oh, she was in the chat? Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, cool. It shows you how to make spirulina pate, spirulina guacamole, pesto, spirulina pumpkin seed smoothie with cacao nibs. You can make a superfood pizza. I mean, what you can't make. Wow. They give you all kinds of recipes to do for smoothies. Hawaiian spirulina trail mix bars. What? Oh, man. Cheesy spirulina kale chips. Spirulina kale chips. Yum. As if you're not getting enough green and chlorophyll in the kale itself. Right. You have to add more. It needs some more green. That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. And the list goes on and on and on. It's just amazing. Amazing stuff. You know, I was listening. So we'll post that too. I was listening to one of the guys on the Hay House Summit the other day. Uh-huh. And he was talking about the alkaline diet. He was talking about all the benefits of green foods and things. And he was just talking about all the different ways to add more green into your diet. So whether that's juicing, or if you're going to have a pizza, say, he said, just steam some spinach and put it on top of the pizza. Or if you're going to make a jus or smoothie, throw some greens in there and things like that. And I was thinking the whole time, he never even really mentioned something like spirulina or like a green powder, which is a really great way to add this sort of green stuff to. I never thought about adding it to guacamole or any of those chips or anything. Yeah, I've always just thought of it as something you add to a sweet thing to kind of mask the flavor, even though the flavor isn't bad. But you're right. I mean, when I just saw this picture came up right here, I thought, gosh, guacamole? I mean, it's already green. You don't even know what's in there. It's in with a bunch of other stuff, and you get to like supercharge your meals. So maybe if anyone hears us before the 4th, tomorrow's guacamole. If you're in charge of bringing the guac, spirulina. Do you think it would make it look too green? People would be thinking, "What the heck is that? That's a little too green. I'm not sure I want to eat that guacamole. It's a little dark green." Those avocados look out of this world green. What kind of avocados are those? But you know what? Don't ask, don't tell. I used to put spirulina when I used to make the mint chocolate chip ice cream. I remember that. The raw. So what I do is I make like what did I use? I think I used some avocado and coconut or something. I forget what I did. I made this raw mint chocolate chip ice cream, but I used spirulina in there. You put cashews in there too, didn't you? Oh, that's right. And spirulina. And then I put chunks of raw cacao. Yeah. That was good. Vanilla extract. And then I would do some extract of mint. Oh, yeah. And so it looks like this green ice cream. But sometimes I remember you even put a mint sprig from the garden in there. Yeah. All right. I'm getting hungry now. Okay, yeah. I got to go make a smoothie. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being on this show. Really appreciate it. Like I said, episode 275. Please share it with your friends if you can. We'd really appreciate that a lot. It really does help us. And you may not think that it helps us, but if you share this on Facebook or you share this on Twitter, It just helps us so much, and we're trying to get the word out to as many people as possible about these types of things and the fact that there are options to heal that are outside of the medical community, outside of medications, outside of pharmaceutical drugs, surgeries, all these things. We're trying to educate and empower people to know that the best thing about the whole thing is prevention.
Yes.
But if you have a condition, you can overcome it as well using specific dietary protocols and cleansing strategies and things. So that's what we're trying to do, is trying to just educate people and tell them.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts, man.
Give them the facts and let them decide.
Yeah. So please share it with your friends if you can.
And your 90-year-old line dancing grandma.
That's
or mother, grandma. That was so cool.
That was funny.
That was great.
And also, if you can, if you want to support us, we do accept donations. All of our shows are free. We work for free. And so we gladly and appreciatively accept all of your donations. ExtremeHealthRadio.com/donate. And we also have a store filled with awesome products like this that you can check out, ExtremeHealthRadio.com/store. Then we have the Amazon link, and that's all the different ways you can support us. Yeah. So really appreciate you guys being on the call, and it's time for us to
peace out. Happy 4th of July. I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll catch you
on the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
Oh, so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information